Congratulations on your purchase of the Ford Rotunda model 176-00001 R134A Refrigerant Management Center, manufactured by White Industries. The Rotunda model 176-00001 is a convenient combination machine designed exclusively for recovering, recycling, and recharging refrigerant R134A safely, effectively, and efficiently. White Industries is ready to help you get up and running quickly with your new Rotunda R134A Refrigerant Management Center, and that's the primary purpose of this tape. If it's convenient, we suggest you have your new machine nearby as you watch this video. To help you set up, operate, and enjoy trouble-free service from your machine, we will cover the following areas: what comes with your machine, setting up your unit, safety precautions, recovery and recycling operations, including the recovery procedure, understanding the operating indicators, and changing the filter core. We will cover recharging a vehicle's air conditioning system, including evacuating the system, lubricant charging of the system, recharging the system, and virgin tank disposal. Also, vacuum pump maintenance, factory recommended daily procedures, and warranty and toll-free number. Your new Refrigerant Management Center should have arrived with each of the following. Please take a moment to check each item. 1 50-pound DOT-approved recycle tank. 2 filter cores, one of which you'll need to install before operating the machine. 1 filter core spring plate. 3 oil discharge cups. 4 casters. 32 caster mounting screws. 16 caster mounting nuts. 1 4-foot yellow auxiliary vacuum hose with bent ends. 1 bungee cord. 1 lubricant injector. 1 copper stand pipe. 2 caster plates. 2 storage bins. 2 hose wrap brackets. 4 hose and cord wrap bracket mounting screws. 2 R134A service couplings. 1 coupler storage port bracket. 2 coupler storage port bracket mounting screws. 4 door lock keys, and be sure to safeguard the keys. This operations videotape. 2 operations manuals. 1 postage paid warranty card. 1 MAX certification information sheet. 1 list of authorized service centers, and 1 MAX environmental poster. First of all, you're going to install the casters on the caster plates using the screws and nuts provided. Next, support the center of the machine with the corner pieces of the shipping carton. Open the doors and install the caster plates using the screws provided. Next, you're going to install the hose brackets. With the screws provided, install the 2 supplied hose brackets on the right side of the machine, the recharging side. Pull the long blue hose and red hose through the opening on the right side of the cabinet, again, the recharging side. Next, you're going to install the coupler storage port bracket. With the screws provided, install the supplied coupler storage port bracket on the right side, the recharging side of the machine. Now, let's install the R134A service couplings. First, install the service coupling with the blue knob and the smaller bore diameter to the blue service hose. Using an open-end wrench, hold the hose fitting and tighten the coupler until the coupler covers the O-ring on the service hose. This is the low side service hose. Next, install the service coupling with the red knob and larger bore diameter to the red service hose. Again, using an open-end wrench, hold the hose fitting and tighten the coupler until the coupler covers the O-ring on the service hose. This is the high side service hose. Finally, wrap the hoses around the hose brackets and install the service couplings on the storage ports, Next, you're going to install the oil discharge cups. Remove the shipping plug from the discharge port located inside the door on the recharging side of the machine. Next, install the discharge cups on the slots provided on the underside of both the recharging system and the recovery system shelf. You may need to squeeze the cup slightly to make the installation easier. Install one discharge cup in the bracket provided on the inside of the door of the recharging side of the machine. Now install the oil injector assembly in the storage hole provided. Finally, install the two storage bins. Your refrigerant management center is shipped without the filter core installed, so you're going to install the filter core. You begin by removing the filter shell lid located on top of the machine and check the condition of the gasket. If the gasket is damaged, replace it with a new gasket. Remove the filter core from its vacuum-sealed canister and with the metal end facing up, immediately install the filter core into the filter shell. Now please note, don't expose the filter core to the air for more than 2 minutes, as such exposure to the air will shorten its service life. Also, you'll find an extra gasket inside the new filter canister in case the gasket in the filter shell lid is damaged. Next, install the spring plate with the spring facing up. Replace the filter shell lid and tighten the nuts evenly in a crossing pattern 1/8 to 1/4 turn past hand tight, or 10 to 15 foot-pounds torque. Before we begin discussing the operation of your machine, we would like to make you aware of several safety precautions you must remember at all times. Please listen carefully and don't ignore the following safety precautions. First of all, please be aware that you risk serious injury or even death if you connect the thermistor shutdown device recovery tank to any equipment that is not designed for use with thermistor shutdown device tanks. Connecting the TSD tank to such equipment could result in tank overfill and rupture of the tank. Secondly, avoid breathing air conditioning refrigerant and lubricant vapor or mist. Such exposure may irritate your eyes, nose, and throat. When removing R134A from an air conditioning system, be sure to use only service equipment certified to meet the requirements of SAE J2210, that is R134A recycling equipment. If you accidentally discharge R134A, immediately ventilate your work area before you resume servicing. You may obtain additional health and safety information from refrigerant and lubricant manufacturers. Third, R134A service equipment or vehicle air conditioning systems should not be pressure tested or leak tested with compressed air. Some mixtures of R134A and air are combustible at elevated pressures and are potentially dangerous. Fire or explosion can result from such practices, resulting in serious personal injury and property damage. Fourth, remember that R134A refrigerant and lubricant are not compatible with other types of refrigerant. Since equipment and vehicle damage may occur if you attempt to recover, recycle, or recharge other types of refrigerants, make sure the air conditioning system you are servicing contains R134A when using your machine. Also, to avoid unfortunate accidents, only technicians who have had experience and are properly trained in refrigerant recovery and recycling should operate this machine. Finally, as a common practice when working with refrigerants, you should always wear safety goggles. We know that sometimes you get in a hurry and can't find your goggles, but stop and do yourself and your eyes a favor. Find your goggles and use them. Protect yourself at all times. One other important note. When you test the vehicle's air conditioning system, be sure to follow the procedures recommended by the original equipment manufacturer. Now, let's prepare your machine for use. First, remove the recycle tank from the box and remove the plastic cap from the valve port. Next, open the vapor valve on the recycle tank and place the tank in the left side of the cabinet compartment. This is the recovery recycling side of the machine. Now connect the tank liquid hose to the liquid valve on the tank and open both the liquid valve on the tank and on the hose. Next, connect the yellow auxiliary vacuum hose between the vapor valve on the tank and the auxiliary vacuum port and open the vapor valve on the tank. Attach the black sensor cord to the corresponding receptacle on the tank. Now notice that the connector has an index slot that you must align to fully engage the sensor cord. If you have not connected the sensor cord properly, or if the cord is pinched, the tank full light on the machine will flash and recovery of refrigerant will not occur. Make sure there is power to the machine from a 115-volt grounded receptacle. Set the power mode switch to the evacuation recharge position. Set the vacuum timer to at least 30 minutes. If possible, set the vacuum timer to the continuous run position and allow the machine to evacuate for 2 to 4 hours. This process will remove any trace amounts of moisture that may reside in the plumbing or in the tank. Now, after evacuating the tank and the machine, close the vapor valve and disconnect the yellow auxiliary vacuum hose from the tank and from the auxiliary vacuum port. Connect the tank vapor hose to the vapor valve on the tank and open both the valve on the tank and on the hose. Now, to install the virgin tank of R134A refrigerant, first connect the tank liquid hose, located in the right-hand compartment, to a virgin tank of R134A, and open both the tank valve and the valve on the hose. Place the virgin tank in the right-hand compartment with the tank sitting on its handles, in other words, in the inverted position. Pull the two straps on the heater blanket until it is wrapped securely around the tank. Secure the tank with the bungee cord provided and close the cabinet door. The heater blanket will only operate when the door is closed. You are now ready to recover, recycle, and recharge R134A. Before you begin the recovery process, warm the vehicle's engine for 5 minutes to reduce the recovery time. After the vehicle's engine has warmed, turn the engine off. Before you connect the R134A service couplings to the vehicle's air conditioning system, make sure the couplers are completely closed by turning the knob counterclockwise. Now please note, if the couplers are not completely closed, you will not be able to access the vehicle's air conditioning system. Notice there is a quick disconnect valve on the end of each hose to prevent refrigerant from escaping into the air. The blue service hose connects to the low side of the vehicle's air conditioning system. The red service hose connects to the high side. Your machine is a true one-pass recovery recycling center. The refrigerant comes out of the vehicle's air conditioning system, into the machine, through the filtration system, and into the tank. The recovery and recycling processes are then complete. When the refrigerant reaches the tank, it is clean. There is no separate recycling operation required. Now let's review the procedures for recovering and recycling R134A. First, make sure there is power to the machine. Set the power mode switch to the recover position and open both the tank valves and the hose valves. Close and lock the cabinet doors. Now open the service couplings and check for positive pressure on the vehicle system pressure gauge to make sure there is refrigerant in the vehicle's air conditioning system. If there is no positive pressure reading on your gauge, do not attempt the recover process. Assuming you have positive pressure on your gauge, next, locate the split switch on the left panel of your refrigerant management center. The button on the left side of the split switch is the on-off or power switch. Turn the power switch on, and notice that the fan automatically turns on to cool the machine. As long as the on-off switch is on, the fan will continue to run, cooling the machine. Now, depress and hold the Start Recovery button for approximately 3 seconds. Check to see that the system operating light is illuminated and that refrigerant is flowing across the moisture indicator. You should also see the system pressure gauge begin to drop. When the vehicle's system pressure gauge reaches 5 to 10 inches of mercury, the machine automatically shuts down. If any lubricant has been removed from the vehicle's air conditioning system, the lubricant will automatically purge into the oil discharge cup located inside the left-hand door on the underside of the upper compartment. This process could take up to 2.5 minutes. However, there may be little or no lubricant removed. To determine how much lubricant was removed during the recovery process, simply remove the cup and read the amount. The cup is marked in both ounces and milliliters. It is imperative that you replace any lubricant removed from the system with the proper PAG lubricant for the air conditioning system you are servicing. Do not mix lubricants. Check the original equipment manufacturer's published service procedures for the correct lubricant and dispose of the used lubricant in accordance with any federal, state, or local ordinances. Also, be sure to reinstall the cup. We will discuss lubricant charging of the vehicle's air conditioning system later in this tape. Now, after the machine shuts down, wait for 5 minutes. If the vehicle system pressure gauge rises above 0 psi, restart the recovery process. Repeat this step as often as necessary until the system pressure remains stable in a vacuum for 2 minutes. Check the moisture indicator and the hour meter and change the filter core if necessary following the procedure we'll discuss later in this tape. The recovery process is now complete. Close the valves on the system liquid and system vapor hoses and disconnect the hoses from the vehicle. At this time, you may perform any necessary repairs on the vehicle's air conditioning system. Although the center has shut off, you'll notice that the fan continues to run as long as the main power switch is in the on position. If you're going to service a number of vehicles in succession, we suggest you let the fan continue to run until you're finished for the day. Also, the tank heater will remain on as long as the power mode switch is in the recover or in the evacuation recharge position and the door of the machine is closed. Now, let's talk about that moisture indicator and the other indicators in a little more detail. Before and during the refrigerant recovery process, the color of the moisture indicator can change. Therefore, it's very important that you look at the moisture indicator to determine the condition of the refrigerant only after the machine shuts down and the recovery recycling process is complete. If the indicator is green, the filter condition is fine, and you may continue recovering and recycling refrigerant. However, if the moisture indicator is more yellow than green, or if you have accumulated a total of 20 hours or more on the filter core, as indicated by the hour meter, it's time to change the filter core. Again, remember, the only time you should view the moisture indicator to determine the condition of the core and the refrigerant is immediately after the recovery recycling recharging center has shut down and the recovery recycle process is complete. When the recovery tank is filled with refrigerant, the tank full light illuminates and the machine will shut off automatically. The tank full light will also flash and shut the machine off if the tank sensor cord is not properly attached to the tank receptacle. Also, the tank full light may illuminate before refrigerant enters the tank while the tank is in a vacuum. When the tank full light illuminates, first, check to make sure that the index slot is properly aligned to make the connection. Make sure that the tank sensor cord is fully engaged. If your recovery tank is full, replace the recycle tank following the tank installation instructions, and then turn the power mode switch off for a moment and then back on to reset the tank full function. The high pressure light will illuminate when there is high pressure on the high side of the recovery system. The main condition that causes high pressure is failure to open the valves on the tank and/or the valves on the tank hoses to allow refrigerant to flow into the tank. As a safety precaution, when the high pressure light illuminates, the machine will not operate. You must remedy the high pressure condition before the machine will operate again. To remedy a high pressure condition, first make sure that both valves on the tank and both valves on the tank hoses are fully open. Then, turn the power mode switch off momentarily and then back on to reset the high pressure function. The excess air light will illuminate if there is excess air in the recovery tank. When the excess air light illuminates, first, remove the vehicle system oil discharge cup and dispose of any oil in the cup in a responsible manner. Then, reinstall the cup in the slot provided. Press the air purge switch to start the process. The air purge will automatically shut off once the air has been expelled. It is time to change the filter core if, after recovering 1 pound of refrigerant, the machine is shut down and the moisture indicator remains yellow, or if the filter core has accumulated a total running time of 20 hours as indicated on the hour meter. First, remove the filter shell lid and take out the spring plate. Next, attach a magnet to the metal plate on the filter core and remove the core. This used core does not contain hazardous material, so you may dispose of it in a responsible manner. Next, remove the new filter core from the vacuum-sealed canister and immediately install the core into the shell with the metal end on top. Install the spring plate on top of the filter core with the spring facing up. Replace the filter shell lid and tighten the nuts evenly in a crossing pattern, 1/8 to 1/4 turn pass finger tight or 10 to 15 foot-pounds torque. After installing the new core, attach the yellow auxiliary hose between the service port on top of the filter shell and the auxiliary vacuum port on the side of the machine. Set the power mode selector to evacuation recharge and turn the vacuum timer on. Evacuate the filter shell to a minimum of 28 inches of mercury to remove the air in the shell. Be sure to make a note of the hour meter reading on the chart provided in your operations manual. Now, a special note and instructions related to moisture content in the recycle tank. If the total accumulated running time on the filter core exceeds 20 hours, the contents of the tank could exceed the limit of moisture content allowable. To ensure that the refrigerant moisture content is acceptable, the following procedure will recycle the refrigerant in the recycle tank. Change the filter core following the instructions we've given you. Close the vapor valve on the recycle tank and the valve on the tank vapor hose. Disconnect the tank vapor hose from the recycle tank. Connect the auxiliary vacuum hose between the vacuum valve on the recycle tank and the vehicle system oil injection port on the side of the machine. Open the vapor valve on the tank. Set the power mode switch to recover, the power switch to on, and press the start recovery button. Allow the machine to run in this mode for approximately 1 hour. The moisture indicator should be green at this time. Then, close the vapor valve on the recycle tank and allow the machine to shut off automatically. Disconnect the auxiliary vacuum hose from the recycle tank and from the machine. Reconnect the tank vapor hose to the vapor valve on the tank. Open the vapor valves on the tank and on the hose. The machine is now ready to continue recovering. To begin the process of recharging an air conditioning system, evacuate the vehicle's air conditioning system first by connecting both the high and low service couplings to the vehicle's air conditioning system, and then opening both service couplings. Set the power mode switch to evacuation recharge. Next, set the desired vacuum time on the timer. The vacuum pump will not operate if the vehicle system has pressure. When the timer shuts off, the gauge readings should hold if there are no leaks in the vehicle's air conditioning system. Please be aware that you can only add lubricant to the vehicle's air conditioning system when the system is in a vacuum. So make sure the system is in a vacuum before performing the following procedure. First, attach the copper standpipe to the lubricant injector hose. Immerse the standpipe into the proper PAG lubricant. Draw the desired amount of lubricant into the injector. Then disconnect the standpipe from the lubricant injector hose and attach the hose to the lubricant injection port on the right side of the refrigerant management center. The vacuum in the vehicle's air conditioning system will draw the lubricant from the injector into the system. Recharge the vehicle's air conditioning system with refrigerant to ensure that all of the lubricant is carried into the vehicle system. To recharge the vehicle's air conditioning system, first, make sure the service couplings are closed and connected to the high and low service ports on the vehicle's air conditioning system. Now open both coupler valves. Next, set the power mode switch to evacuation recharge. Then set the refrigerant switch to virgin or recycled. We recommend that your first choice for recharging be recycled refrigerant. In order to charge recycled refrigerant, there must be a minimum of 10 pounds of refrigerant and sufficient pressure for charging in the tank. Set the desired amount of refrigerant in pounds and ounces on the selector. Notice that the charge hold light will illuminate while you select the charge amount. Now press the Start Charge button to begin the charging process. Notice that the charging light will illuminate while the charging process occurs. When charging is complete, the charge selector will reach 0 and the charging light will go off. Be sure to check high and low gauge readings and the system output temperature to ensure that the system is performing within the manufacturer's specifications. Close both couplers, disconnect from the vehicle, and reinstall on the storage plugs. Set the power mode switch to Recover and press the Start Recovery button to recover refrigerant left in the hoses. Then close the valves on the recycling tank, the valve on the virgin tank, and all hose valves. Please be aware that two conditions will stop the charging process and the charge hold light will illuminate. If the tank supplying refrigerant is low or empty, or if the tank supplying refrigerant has insufficient pressure for charging. Refer to the Tech Tips section in your operations manual for ways to remedy a charge hold condition. Even though a virgin tank may appear to be empty, it may still contain up to a pound of refrigerant in a gaseous state. Therefore, after replacing a virgin tank, you should recover this remaining refrigerant before disposing of the tank. To recover this remaining refrigerant, first, remove the tank from the machine and close both the valve on the tank and the valve on the virgin tank hose. Connect the yellow auxiliary vacuum hose between the valve on the tank and the port on the filter shell. Then open the tank valve, set the power mode switch to Recover, set the power switch to On, and depress the Start Recovery switch. Allow the machine to recover the refrigerant until the vehicle system pressure gauge reads between 0 psi and 5 inches of mercury. Turn off the power switch before the machine automatically shuts off at 10 inches of mercury. This will prevent the lubricant purge cycle from repressurizing the tank. Then disconnect the yellow auxiliary hose and allow the tank to fill with air. Leave the tank valve open and mark the tank empty. You may then dispose of the empty tank in accordance with all federal, state, and local laws. After every 25 evacuations, or after evacuating an air conditioning system that has been open to the atmosphere for a prolonged period, meaning 24 hours or longer, you must change the vacuum pump lubricant. You must disconnect the machine from the vehicle before you perform this procedure. To begin this maintenance, first, open the petcock in the bottom of the pump, located to the left and behind the discharge cup. Allow all of the lubricant to drain into a container capable of holding at least 12 ounces, and dispose of the lubricant according to federal, state, and local laws. Be sure to close the petcock after completing this procedure. Connect the yellow auxiliary hose to the auxiliary vacuum port on the side of the machine. Immerse the other end of the yellow hose into 12 ounces of quality R134A refrigerant oil, Ford part number YN12, or quality vacuum pump lubricant. Set the power mode switch to the evacuation recharge position. Turn the vacuum pump timer on. The pump will draw the lubricant into itself. Remember, the pump's capacity is 12 ounces, so don't overfill it. Each day prior to use, you should carefully examine your refrigerant management center to avoid potential problems. First, make sure the tank full sensor cord is fully engaged and the cord is not pinched. Then, check the condition of all service hoses for contamination before connecting them to a vehicle's air conditioning system. Make sure all hoses are fully engaged at the tank connections. When you're not using the machine, be sure to close the tank valves and the tank hose valves. Your R134A Refrigerant Management Center carries a 1-year limited warranty. Be sure to read the warranty statement in the operations manual and fill out and mail in your warranty card immediately. We've even made it easier for you. You'll notice the card has postage paid. All you have to do is drop it in a mailbox. If you need assistance, please call our service department toll-free at 1-800-633-2827. We'll be happy to help you in any way possible. By following the simple procedures outlined in this videotape, you'll be up and running quickly with your new Refrigerant Management Center. You'll enjoy years of service and increased profits in your business. But more importantly, you'll be helping recover and reuse valuable material. By recovering refrigerant, you are contributing to a safer, better world for us all.